My message to the gangs is, in June, that was only the tip of the iceberg. We are coming after you. We have infiltrated you. We are working aggressively with our state, local, and other federal partners every day to clean that city up, and it's only a matter of time until you go to jail.
Oye, ¿por qué no graba? Oye, graba la madre.
Le gusta.
When the FBI gets involved in a case, we tend to attack kind of what I would call the head of the snake, right? Our investigations, again, like I said, are more complex. They take a little bit longer, but I think we can bring more resources, and typically in the federal system as well, those penalties for those violent crimes tend to be much stiffer, much longer of a sentence. Most folks do, depending on the nature of the crime, the violence of the crime, a lot of these folks don't get out pending trial, and so they're in prison or they're in jail awaiting trial. And like I said, the penalties are just much more stiffer when you bring that federal hammer. Obviously, you know, the 18th Street gang that we took down in June, they're operating, their associates of that gang are operating there. Also, we're getting a lot of intelligence about about Asian gangs operating in that area as well. As a result, we've directed our Asian organized crime squad to begin working in that area. And then, of course, you've got other neighborhood-based street gangs and different associates there that obviously we're concerned about. There's a transnational component that would that triggers an FBI response, but also even neighborhood-based street gangs, local gangs also trigger an FBI response depending on the violence and how much havoc they are wreaking in the community. So we would have authority in any of those cases to work those cases alongside with our partners. All of these gangs they're kind of involved in everything, right? And so you may have certain parts of one gang that's involved in say prostitution, robberies, narcotic smuggling, and you may have another part of the gang that only does narcotic smuggling, right? It's kind of a smorgasbord when it comes to these gangs, right? They're just involved in general criminal activity that cross the entire spectrum.
FBI's New York boss puts gangs on notice in AOC's crime-riddled red light district. Exclusive. New York, the FBI has warned it is getting ready to smash and dismantle the transnational gangs who have helped transform a busy commercial strip in Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez district into a crime-infested hotspot blighted by illegal prostitution, drugs, human trafficking, and violence. In an exclusive interview with Fox News Digital, Christopher Raia, the FBI's assistant director in charge of the New York office, said he has deployed multiple squads to patrol the troubled 2-mile strip along Roosevelt Avenue in Queens, and said agents are aggressively working with the NYPD to cut off the head of the snake in terms of the gang's hierarchy. The area is also represented by Representative Meng, a progressive Democrat like Ocasio-Cortez. The news comes after local leaders repeated their calls for FBI Director Cash Patel to finally crush the ruthless gangs, as concerned residents hold weekly protests outside what they say are well-known brothels openly operating in the area, often disguised as beauty salons. The immigrant-heavy neighborhood is often referred to as a red district, and is also scarred by trash and unsanitary conditions, with legal vendors selling unregulated food and suspected stolen goods. Photos. Swipe to see images of NYC red light district. Earlier this summer, 8 members of the 18th Street Gang were arrested in a major FBI-led operation, accused of carrying out several brutal beatings and stabbings to maintain their dominance of the strip. The 18th Street Gang began as a street crew in Los Angeles in the 1960s and is made up largely of Hispanic and Latino members. What happened in June was only the tip of the iceberg. We have only just begun out there, Raia told Fox News Digital in a sit-down interview at the FBI's field office in Manhattan. We have infiltrated you. We are watching you. And someday down the line, you will go to jail. Raia, the Bureau's top official in New York, was appointed to his role in April and said he has made Roosevelt Avenue a top priority, with his mission molding into Patel's wider strategy of crushing violent crime in major cities. One of the first letters I received was from the local officials in that area talking about the crime problem, Raia said. And so, to those local officials who sent us those letters again, we hear you. We are working relentlessly there to keep that community safe. I hear you. The FBI hears you. Director Patel hears you. We are working around the clock to clean up that community. As well as the 18th Street Gang, Raia said that several Asian gangs are also operating in the area. We're getting a lot of intelligence about Asian gangs. And of course, you've got other neighborhood-based street gangs and different associates there that obviously we're concerned about, he said. Some locals say that the Venezuelan gang Trend Aragua and MS-13 operate there too. Raia, who previously served in Washington as a deputy assistant director overseeing counterterrorism, said gangs on Roosevelt Avenue are engaged in a wide spectrum of criminal activity, including armed robbery, assaults, and sex trafficking, as well as narcotics and weapons trafficking. All of these gangs, they're kind of involved in everything. You may have certain parts of one gang that's involved in, say, prostitution, robberies, narcotics smuggling, and you may have another part of the gang that only does narcotics smuggling. It's kind of a smorgasbord when it comes to these gangs. Raia said gangs are also profiting from prostitution and believes many of the women working along Roosevelt Avenue are trafficking victims. Obviously, there are plenty of sex workers who we know are victims there. We're still kind of picking that apart. We're peeling back that onion. We are looking at a human trafficking angle. We are looking at a prostitution angle, Raia said. Meanwhile, a Queens grand jury recently indicted a 31-year-old woman on sex trafficking charges tied to at least 2 women, including one she allegedly brought from Mexico in 2022. Prosecutors say Valeska Echevarrias forced the victim into prostitution on Roosevelt Avenue for $800 a night and beat her when she failed to meet quotas. Echevarrias had already been indicted last year for allegedly forcing a transgender woman into prostitution and trying to extort another victim. Fox News Digital witnessed at least 30 women appearing to solicit sex on one block on the Strip earlier this year following Ocasio-Cortez town hall. Earlier this week, police said a man was stabbed multiple times in the back as he rode the subway above Roosevelt Avenue, while 2 weeks ago a maniacal driver fatally mowed down a 16-year-old girl on the Strip. Raia, meanwhile, warned the gangs to brace for raids, which will come when the Bureau is ready to pounce. There is a ton of work going on behind the scenes, he said. You won't see us overtly until we're getting ready to do a takedown of multiple members of the gang. One of the biggest frustrations for locals has been the sense that brothels linger for months and that suspects are arrested only to return to the streets. A massive 90-day police crackdown on crime in the area late last year put a dent in criminal activity, but that was short-lived, residents said. Raia drew a sharp contrast with the FBI's enforcement, noting that while NYPD cases often lead to quick arrests and lighter penalties, federal prosecutions allow the FBI to bring much tougher charges. Statutes covering racketeering, human trafficking, narcotics, and weapons trafficking carry stiffer sentences and keep offenders behind bars longer. For instance, the NYPD told Fox News Digital recently that its officers arrested 350 people so far this year for prostitution-related offenses in and around the beleaguered Strip. When they get involved in a case, we tend to attack what I would call the head of the snake. Our investigations are more complex. They take a little bit longer, Raia said. But I think we can bring more resources, and typically in the federal system as well, those penalties for those violent crimes tend to be much stiffer, much longer. A lot of these folks don't get out pending trial. The penalties are just much more severe when you bring that federal hammer. Former Democratic State Senator Raia Montserrat, who has been organizing the weekly rallies against the brothels with his Restore Roosevelt Avenue coalition and wrote to Patel, welcomed news of increased FBI enforcement. Photos, swipe to see images of residents protesting, led by former state Senator Raia Montserrat. Because of organized crime, we've become the Walmart of the illegal sex trade in New York City and a haven for criminal operations, said Montserrat, a former police officer. He recalled the Strip as a criminal hub in the 1990s before the NYPD cracked down, but said today's wave of crime is unprecedented. We welcome the full and expansive participation of the FBI in investigating and ridding our community of the cartels and street gangs that have wreaked havoc here. It's the only real option for a lasting solution that will bring safety and stability. Meng also welcomed the news and said she has pressed for more federal resources. These include measures to prosecute human trafficking, combat violent crime and gangs, and boost funding for state and local law enforcement, Meng told Fox News Digital. I am also seeking federal money to support local initiatives, such as a request for a mobile command center. As I've said and continue to say, public safety and quality of life must be a top priority.